Hello everybody, this is the Pocket Passer. I'm your host, Randy White. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day. I know I am. Today, EA Sports released their Madden ratings for the cornerback position, so I will be reacting to the top 10 rated corners in Madden and giving my take on who I think should be different in their ratings and who should be higher, who should be lower, and so on. And then after that, I'm giving you guys my AFC North predictions, my AFC North Record predictions. Let's jump right into it. At the first corner, the number one ranked corner, I already disagree. They have Jalen Ramsey with a 97 overall. The reality is Jalen Ramsey is still a top 5 corner, arguably top 3 corner, and maybe even top 2. But after last year, he's simply not the best corner in the league anymore. He took a step back. I think that is clear. I think he's still a fantastic player, one of the most physically dominant corners the league has seen within the last decade, I would say, but he is not at the same level that he has been in his prime level of play. He is an excellent corner, no doubt about it, but I think EA is kind of holding on to some past bias. Same thing with what I talked about Aaron Donald yesterday. Number 2, Jair Alexander is a 95 overall. I think 2 is a fair place to put him. Jair fits somewhere between 2 and 4 on the corner list. I don't think he's the best corner in the league, but he's somewhere in that 2 to 4 range. Very elite corner. I'm not biased, guys, I swear. He is an elite corner. I think a 95 overall is very fitting for him. Somewhere in that 94, I think 94 is too low, 95 to 96 range. So I think they got his rating right. I think Jalen Ramsey at a 97 is a tad too high, by the way. I'd put him also in that 95, 96 range. Pat Surtain, this is the guy that I think is the best corner in football. Pat Surtain has been fantastic his last 2 seasons. He's been just an elite corner. Just finished his second year of football last year, and he was absolutely tremendous. But I know how EA Sports is. They like to take their time giving guys credit. They kind of slowly increase the ratings over time, and they give guys big jumps, but they don't make someone the best corner in the league right off the bat because of 1 or 2 good seasons. It takes time. So I expect Pat Surtain to keep going on the path he is going, and he'll probably end up being the best corner in the league fairly soon within the next year or 2, both not only on the field but also recognized in Madden. So understanding how they kind of rate things and understanding that they don't jump the gun, they don't rush to ratings typically, kind of gives a little bit of an understanding as to why he is not higher than 3. So now there's a 2-way tie at 4 between Sauce Gardner and Marlon Humphrey. Now Sauce Gardner actually surprises me with how highly rated he is after his rookie year. Most of the time, Madden doesn't jump this high, but Sauce Gardner was the best corner in football last year as a rookie, so they had no choice but to give him some respect and at least put him top 5, which they of course did, making him tied for 4th with a 93 overall rating. I think that is a fair rating considering he's only played 1 year. Let's give him a little bit more time before we say, oh, he's the best corner in football, before we give him some crazy 98 overall rating. Let's give him some time to develop and consistently play at a high level from season to season. Marlon Humphrey, on the other hand, 93 overall rating is just a fair rating for him. I think that's the level he's played at throughout the last several years of his career. I think 93 overall, 92 to 94 overall range is about where he lands. He's a very good corner. He's just not quite to the level of the guys I've mentioned before him. Number 6, Darius Slay at a 92 overall. I think that's fair. Darius Slay has his ups and downs throughout the season. He's still an excellent corner, an elite corner, and it was a good job by the Eagles to make sure he stayed in Philadelphia. But he is just not quite at his prime level when he was the best of the best. He's still a very, very good corner. 92 overall is a good spot for him. I think he's somewhere in that 92 to 94 range along with Marlon Humphrey. So good job by EA there. Now this is where I kind of strongly disagree. Stephon Gilmore, of course, the best corner in football once upon a time, defensive player of the year a couple years ago, but he's clearly lost a step and he's not quite at the level he was. He's a fringe top 10 corner. I think 7's a little high, and I think 91 overall is a little high. Not to mention the fact that Tre'Davious White is the best corner on the Cowboys roster, not Stephon Gilmore. And Tre'Davious White doesn't even crack the top 10. Sorry, not Tre'Davious White. Trayvon Diggs, thank you. Trayvon Diggs is the better corner on Dallas, and he does not crack the top 10 on the EA Sports rating list, which I thought was very interesting. They put him somewhere around 13 or 14. He needs to be higher. I'm not one of those guys that says he's a top 4-5 corner, because he simply isn't. He gets beat too much. But he is a very, very talented corner, and undoubtedly deserves to be given more credit than what he has been given. Number 8 and 9 is a two-way tie. Marshawn Lattimore and Tre'Davious White, each at 90 overall. Tre'Davious White, we know how Madden likes to rank their players. If they get injured, they go down in rating. So that's to be expected from Tre'Davious White. I'm sure once he plays again this year and plays well, which he will, because he's a very, very good corner, we'll see him climb back up those ranks and get back into that 94, 95 range, which is where he really belongs. And then to round out the top 10, Denzel Ward at an 88 overall. I don't argue that Denzel Ward's a top 10 corner. I just think there's some guys missing that deserve to be in the conversation, like A.J. Terrell and Trayvon Diggs. Overall, it's a solid corner list. I don't think EA did something egregious. I think there's a couple missteps, but that's going to happen. They either like to overreact on regressing players and tank them once they play a little poorly, like Aaron Rodgers, or they are very hesitant to tank players and don't do it quickly enough, like Stephon Gilmore in this instance, who just isn't at the level he used to be at, and I don't think he belongs in that 90 overall and above range anymore at this point in his career, even if he is still very good and a nice veteran presence to have on any football team. So that's how I feel about those ratings. Overall, solid job by EA Sports. I don't have a ton to complain about. And now, on to my AFC North predictions, my AFC North record predictions. I think these are going to surprise you guys a lot. I'm going to get a ton of heat. I'm ready for it, but I feel good about these predictions. I'm willing to give some good reasoning for why I have it the way I do. I have one particular record prediction, one team that's going to have a losing record that is going to shock you guys, and I might bite it. I might really eat it, because this is a little bit of a hot take for sure, but it's just what my gut's telling me. It's how I feel about this team, not because of the talent, but because of injuries that they just can't seem to escape time and time again. So we got one team that's really shocking you, that's going to shock you guys with how low they are, and they've got another team that a lot of people were sleeping on in this division that I think can be very solid, can steal second place in the division, can potentially compete for first place in the division because of how good their defense is and because of the progression that I think the young talent on the offensive side of the ball is going to make this year. So, winning the division once again, I think the Bengals go 11-6, win the division. Their ceiling is somewhere around 13 wins if the defense balls out like it has been and the offense continues to gel. They've got so much talent over there with Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and of course, their number one receiver, Jamar Chase. They lose Hayden Hurst, but frankly, their offensive firepower, every other position, is so good, I don't think it matters a whole lot. So Bengals 11-6, they're just absolutely loaded, and their offensive line is going to keep getting better as it continues to play together. So I don't really have many concerns. I think this is the best their offense is going to be out of the last 3 years, and their defense will probably take a step back, but their defense has been really, really good late in the season, especially against very good teams. So I don't have a huge problem with them regressing slightly as long as that linebacking core continues to kind of captain that defense and be great at tackling, which is one thing the Bengals defense has been fantastic at. They've been fantastic at tackling. So if they can keep that up, I think they're going to be fine. Now, number 2, this is my first shocker, not the biggest one, but the first shocker on this list. I have the Steelers going second place in the division and likely squeezing into a 6th or 7th seed playoff spot at 10-7. I think the Steelers have a very underrated team. Their defense is elite. TJ Watt is the best edge rusher in the league. I will take that to the bank every single time. He is a next level pass rusher, next level defensive player. He's so good at everything he does. He's a complete disruptor on every level of the defense. He is unbelievably good. Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the best safeties in the league. He's elite, and he's going to continue to play at a high level to help shore up that back end. I think the Steelers have an underrated roster. I think Kenny Pickett is an underrated quarterback that's going to prove himself with elite young talent. And when I say elite, it's really elite potential. They aren't elite yet, but I think George Pickens has the potential to be a fantastic receiver in this league. He made some great catches last year. He has this level of physicality that most receivers don't bring to the game. He's got this cockiness and moxie to him that I think a lot of guys don't have, and I think it's important for the Pittsburgh Steelers culture. Mike Tomlin's a very good coach. He's not going to let these guys have a losing record, that's for sure. I think the Steelers' offensive line is going to improve. The receivers are only getting older and better because they are so young. Kenny Pickett showed some genuine potential at the end of the year. Najee Harris is a very good running back. I just think the Steelers are trending back upward. I think the Steeler way is going to kind of return to the NFL next year, and we're going to see a team that gets down, gets dirty, and is aggressive and physical, and they're going to give teams of all levels of play a really tough time. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch this year. I think you guys need to watch out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're my dark horse team. I have them going 10-7. Now the Browns, I have the Browns third in the division. Now you guys are seeing where I'm going about a shocker. The Browns 9-8. I think the Browns, Deshaun Watson's going to return very close to his former glory. I think he needed that time last year to kind of get used to things, get acclimated back into the NFL. He's had the whole offseason to work with the football team, and Amari Cooper is going to be better this year. Nick Chubb is an elite running back, the best of the best in the league. Kevin Stefanski is always going to have good run schemes dialed up. Their offensive line is very good, especially the interior line and run blocking is very, very good. Solid receivers, solid tight end. I really like the Browns to compete and potentially fight for a 6th or 7th seed in the playoffs as well. I'm not saying I have them making the playoffs. That'll be more determined once I finish all of my record predictions, and then I'll go through and I'll look at everyone and I'll say I might kind of contradict some of my record predictions when I figure out my playoff teams, who I trust more in the back half of seasons. But right now I have the Browns going 9-8. And finally, this is the thing that I think a lot of you guys are going to be very mad at me about. The Ravens I have going 8-9. I told you guys this is a very good division. It is an elite division, contrary to the NFC North, which is a lot of meh. Who's going to roll out on top? I think the Lions are good. That's about it. The AFC North, all of these teams are playoff contenders. But the reality is that no matter how good these guys are on paper, one of these teams is for sure not going to make the playoffs. I mean, they could mathematically, but it's not going to happen. It's just not likely. And one of these guys is going to have a losing record. That's just the way the NFL goes a lot of the time. And usually I would say a team that loses as many close games as the Ravens did will be able to punch their way up into a playoff spot. But my gut tells me it's not happening, and here's why. When you look at the star players for the Bengals, for the Steelers, for the Browns, and for the Ravens, there is one key difference between the Ravens star players and the rest of that division's star players. You look at the Bengals, Joe Burrow, aside from his ACL injury in his rookie year, the last 2 seasons, he stayed healthy. You look at Jamar Chase, outside of one injury, he stayed healthy, and that offense has so much firepower. If one of those guys goes down, it really doesn't matter as long as they're all healthy for the postseason. As long as they have 2 out of those 4 guys, they're going to be fine. Joe Mixon picked up slack when Jamar Chase was out. They've got guys to pick up the slack over there, so even if they lose one of them, they're fine. Steelers, TJ Watt, outside of a pec injury, healthy. Kenny Pickett, healthy his rookie year. Najee Harris, mostly healthy. Deontay Johnson, mostly healthy. You look at these guys, they're healthy. Minka Fitzpatrick, healthy. The Steelers star players stay healthy. Bengals star players stay healthy. Deshaun Watson plays hurt when he is hurt, but he stays on the field. He's healthy. Nick Chubb is healthy. David Njoku is injury prone, I will give you that, but Amari Cooper, generally healthy. On the defense, Myles Garrett, generally healthy. These guys are generally healthy. Now look at the Ravens. Their quarterback and their wide receiver 1, presumably, injured. Rashad Bateman, injured. These guys struggle to stay healthy. Outside of Mark Andrews, their star players can't stay on the field. Marlon Humphrey, injured. Frequently. These guys struggle to stay on the field. Their star players miss games late in the season when it matters most. I think you look at Lamar Jackson, he's ended his season on an injury in each of the last 3 years. He's barely played, I don't know if he's played a single game in December the last 2 seasons. I can't remember, definitely not January the last 2 seasons, but I don't think he's played or finished a single game in December in the last 2 seasons. He's struggling to stay healthy. That's what happens to these running quarterbacks. They're healthy, they come out lightning in a bottle, they've got energy. Cam Newton is a perfect example of this MVP season early in his career. Injuries add up, play declines, no longer worth the money, no longer worth putting on the field, not the same product on the field, and all of a sudden they're no longer the superstar future Hall of Famer you thought they were. That's what happens to these guys when you run them, they run into the ground. That's why the running backs in the NFL aren't getting paid a ton of money, because their shelf lives are short. We're going to see the same thing happen with these running quarterbacks. I have the exact same concern for Josh Allen long term, but you're going to see these guys start to decline in play. Their availability has already declined. Lamar Jackson has been injured each of the last 3 seasons. It is a huge concern, a massive red flag. Baltimore is in for a rough go of it. All of their star players offensively, with the exception of Mark Andrews, constantly injured. All of their running backs were hurt last year. They've got guys that might be very good, but they're fragile. And the best ability is availability. And I can't trust that a team's going to go 12-5 when I don't even know if they're going to be on the field. Because history is showing us, not 1 season, not 2 seasons, now 3 straight seasons, that the quarterback doesn't finish out the season because he's getting injured. And I'm not trying to hate on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's an elite quarterback. I ranked him 5th when I did my quarterback rankings. He's a very good quarterback, but the shelf lives on these guys is very, very short. It's very short. And I just don't see the Ravens maintaining the quality of play they've had the last few seasons. Their peak has came and it has gone, in my opinion. I don't think the Ravens make the playoffs. They go 8-9. They are the team in the AFC North that will holster that losing record. I would love to be wrong. I would love to see these guys be healthy. And if they are healthy, I'll tell you right now, if they are healthy, they're probably the best team in the division. They probably win the division, and they probably are still a first-round exit in the playoffs, because they're just not built to win playoff games either. I don't have faith in them down the stretch, deep in seasons. I just don't. That's all I got for you guys. If you enjoyed my content, if you absolutely hate my Ravens take, and you just want to let me have it, you just want me to hear how stupid I am, leave a comment. I'm going to post this on Instagram, of course. I'm going to post it on TikTok. Leave a comment there if you're just so upset, if you're so appalled by what I have to say, if you have some legitimate, tangible argument to share with me as to why I'm wrong. Let me know. Please, let me know. I am always open to debate. I'm always open for a good conversation. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video.